how to train as a salesperson. How to train as a salesperson. I'm with my guy, Mr. Alec Aponte, coming to you guys live every single Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Today, we're going to talk about how to train as a salesperson. So, effectively knowing how to train as a salesperson, when do we train? How much do we train? Like, those are the questions that was going in my head when I first started in sales, right? About 7, 8 years ago, got started in the insurance industry. And man, like I didn't like high school. So I'm like, man, dude, I don't want to train. Like I just want to make money. I just want to create revenue. I just want to create income. However, the thing is that to the degree that you are training is to the degree that you're going to increase your income, increase your revenue, right? If you stop training, you're literally capping the amount of income and revenue that you can create as a salesperson. So when do you train? You train every single day. What do you train on? I mean, dude, you train on audiobooks. You read books. Like I got my books behind me. You go to courses. You go to events, masterminds, boot camps, right? And what do you train on? Right? That's one of the biggest questions there, I would say, is like, what do you train on? So, Alec, you being a salesperson, for the past 5 years or so, correct me if I'm wrong, but what do you train on as a salesperson?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, because I think people think train like the objection side of things, how to handle objections, how to make presentations. This is all important, but you definitely, if you're going to jump into sales, you have to understand there's going to be rejection. You have to train your mind how to just adopt a mentality where you look as rejection as a good thing and just adopt a successful mindset. You have to train a successful mindset. So I think just saying that, I think that becomes before, like, what do you say at the door? You have to be mentally prepared for challenges. I mean, you're in sales, anything can happen. People might be rude, they might say no. So you have to first train your mindset.
Mm.
And then going back, what was your question again?
Yeah, I mean, what do you train on as a salesperson?
Oh, if I'm new, I'm training on my mindset. I'm
Yep.
training on me, which is more important than the sale first, because you can be good at sales, but if you go negative or your mind's just not in the right place, you're going to make a mess of everything. You're not going to work the leads as sufficiently as understanding how to be in a good headspace, how to look at everything. So that's the first thing you should train on is yourself, because you're not going to out earn your own self development before what you're saying to a lead. So you definitely should start there as far as training, because I think everyone immediately goes objections and stuff like that, but it's much more than that, in my opinion.
Yep, 100%. Got to train your belief, your mindset, your viewpoint, your attitude, right? For me, that's the first things that I would recommend anyone to train on. And that's how I kind of developed myself, 7, 8 years ago, getting into sales, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a business owner is like mindset, viewpoint, attitude, and beliefs, right? Because I think we both learned this at an event that we went to, the 10X 360 event. There's a belief lid that we have. So if your belief isn't big enough, then you're not going to be able to achieve as much as you want to achieve, right? So if you believe you can only achieve X, Y, and Z, then you're only going to be able to achieve that, right? So you have to open up your belief lid as well. So really training on the basics. Like for me, it's like, man, that's the foundation right there. Viewpoint, mindset, attitude. If you don't correct yourself, how you view things, how you respond to things, like your attitude, how you respond to rejection, how you respond to failure, right? The attitude part, then you're going to have so much more of a difficult time even becoming successful in sales, right? You're going to have so much more of a difficult time. So you got to, like you said, just backing up what you said, and the same thing I was thinking as I asked you that question is like, the first thing that you want to train as a salesperson is your viewpoint, belief, and attitude in your mindset.
Yeah.
100%. And then it stems into like belief, right? Like, what do you believe? What are those constricting beliefs or those patterns that you have that are actually holding you back from moving forward? And strip, the first thing you want to do is you want to strip away the bad data. I talk about this all the time. Like, you can't add good on top of the bad. because
Yeah.
it's just going to be conflicting, and it's just going to like merge with each other. And sometimes you won't know, like, oh, do I listen to this program data or this programmed information I've been programmed with throughout the years, or do I listen to this new information, this new data, right? And that stems into a whole other topics like, man, who do we train on? Do we soak up information from 20 different people, or do we train and listen to information and data from maybe 2 people or 3 people, right? But man, yeah, 100% true. You know, viewpoint, attitude, mindset, belief, man, those are the first things. Really building the foundation to being a strong structural salesperson. It's so important. You know, it all starts with attitude, right? I'll end it off. I'll jump it off to you after this, but it all starts with attitude, right? Like attitude precedes anything in life. If you're not taking enough action, it revolves around your attitude. If you're not getting the results you want, it stems back to attitude. If you're not having customers make decisions with you, it stems back to attitude. Everything starts with the attitude, right? You know, a good quote that GC that always comes to my mind is that like the most dangerous person is one who can keep a positive mental attitude when everyone else is just going crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to touch on that, and I think that's why, you know, doing this, we give a lot of value. I think if you watch anyone else, they're training you on objections and stuff. You need to train your mind that I'm going to have to take a lot of action. You need to train yourself to take responsibility for the result of everything. So that to me is actually training. You need to train yourself to take responsibility for why they didn't make a decision, you know, to do business with you. Like that's what I go back to the self-development. So just, you know, going off what you said, I mean, that's the biggest key, because I've seen so many salespeople, especially when I started at like a captive agency. You could have taught these people sales rebuttals. You could have taught them everything, but they had a belief problem, and they didn't train their mind enough to ever exceed, for some people, $3,000, $5,000 a month. They could never, because they never trained their mindset to get to someone who, because someone who's making $20,000 a month in sales, they just have a different mindset. They just view the workday different. They've been trained to have a different outlook on the client specifically. Like the guy who makes $20,000 a month probably has a different viewpoint when someone hangs up on him, you know, versus the person who probably makes 3-5 grand selling insurance or no money is maybe defeated, stuff like that. Because, you know, you just have to remember, you know, I saw my team this one day, but the biggest thing is, you know, work harder on yourself than you do your job. And that's how you see like your income scale, your income.
Roan.
Yeah. I mean, just the biggest thing, man, is if you're becoming a better person, it's going to be symbiotic. You're going to see that show up in sales. You're just a better person, a better communicator, level-headed, just in control of your day, in control of your time. It's going to show up in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is training, which is a different spin that I think most people will give you, how to handle objections, which is important, but you can't put the cart before the horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So this dives into what I was speaking about earlier, is like, man, who do we train from, and like, where do we get this information from? Like for me particularly, it was like, hey, I'm in insurance, right? Same as you. So I'm picking like an insurance mentor, someone to learn from in the insurance space. You want an industry specific, you know, mentor, and then you want just a general sales training mentor as well. So for me, like I was training on one person for insurance specific training, and then one person for general sales training. So you want to be training on both, because sometimes as insurance agents, right, because we're both in the insurance industry, like they're just training on insurance specific training. But man, there's so much more to it. And I see so many, you know, salespeople in the industry like lack the ability to close deals, to handle clients effectively, to understand the mind of the buyer, because they don't understand the actual sales training, right? Because there's so much more, like, you know, we're really like, a lot of times they're just diving into product knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But what's more important, product knowledge or actually having the sales training? What is your take on that? For me, man, it's definitely sales training. I would take someone that is trained on sales more than the product.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could go do roof and almost know nothing about it because I'll just get in front of people and find the answers. So I'll knock on more doors and I'll probably smoke everybody just because I don't the product. I'll learn along the way. All I have to establish with the client is that I care about them. I might not have the answers, I'll get them, and I'm willing to do like whatever it takes to get your business versus know everything about the product.
Mm-hmm.
Because that just leads. It's almost like product knowledge almost becomes like what is that, call avoidance thing? Some people just it goes in congruence with that, the call avoidance, just not prospect, not doing the real work that's gonna thread the needle in your life and grow your income. So yeah, man, for anyone, I mean, I know you agree with that. It's definitely product knowledge will come with time. You just got to get after it, and that's in any field, right? Insurance, solar,
real estate. Yep. The car business. Because that's what happens, man. So many people get so caught up in like, man, I got to know everything about the product. I got to know everything. And then they get caught up in, like you were talking about, call reluctance, call avoidance, and they don't even get started. Like they're so caught up on like knowing everything. And I was almost the same way like 7-8 years ago. I was like, man, I got to know everything. And I'm like, all right, like I know enough to just start taking action. And you're going to learn as you continue to take action. All I know is that, man, I got to get my 2 feet moving forward, and moving forward is a way that you're going to learn more. So really, like, man, like so many people get so bogged down and like, man, I got to know everything about the product. I got to know everything about how Medicare works, part A and part B. Like, yeah, you got to get, you have to know it, but you just have to get a general basic knowledge of it and just start taking action. Mm-hmm. Start taking action immediately, and you're going to learn more just by doing, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying like don't know anything, but like you said, get a basic product knowledge and then just run with that, because you're going to get more experience and knowledge by just doing it as opposed to spinning your wheels and losing momentum, right? Because ultimately, success is one of those, like, success loves speed, people say, but this is so true, that the quicker you can just get started and start having success, start making wins, start getting lucky, right? The more actions you take, the luckier you get. The more lucky you get, your confidence, your belief goes up, which is important if we're talking about new agents training. So, just getting that sound foundation of how to think, basic product knowledge, and then actually getting started, because that would be part of your training, is just getting started, because that's what a lot of people don't do, or they kind of start, but the sample size is so small. They did real estate, they did insurance. What, you did like 10 presentations and then fizzled out. So that's not a real sample size. So
you ever heard the stat, started to cut in, but they say it takes like 10,000 repetitions to really become knowing in what you're doing, to really become a master, become a pro. And that's what we're talking about right now, is like, how do we become a freaking pro at sales? How do we become a master, all knowing in sales? And does it ever stop? Does that training ever stop? Like, no, it never stops. You got to train all day, no matter how much you think you know, right? The most ignorant individual is going to be the individual that thinks they know everything about everything. The one that thinks man, I got it all figured out. I know enough, right? And just knowing enough is what's going to really cap you, like I was talking about earlier. But yeah, sorry to interject there. But man, like I think that's a stat, right? Like 10,000 repetitions to actually like become fluent with what you're doing.
Yeah, 10,000 hours. Yeah.
10,000 hours. That's right. Yeah, 10,000 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, on that point, I mean, yeah, because I just been in like corporate, like captive agencies, and I just see like how people really get like, they're very uncomfortable doing the presentation because they don't understand like this, and this, and it's like, as long as you like understand the process and can make a presentation, you're going to be all right. Because reality is there's a lack of people going in the marketplace and just taking action. Reality is you're probably going to get a lay down who they don't care that you don't know everything. They understand you might be new or whatever it may be. And they're willing to do business with you because they just see you're getting after it and you're willing to get the answers. So, just don't get caught up, don't major in minors, right? So never get in the minors. So, you just got to keep that top of mind and make sure you're not, as a new agent, doing call avoidance things, because that's what happens with product knowledge. Part of the training is taking the action and just going all in, not 1 foot, all in. Jump in the water, dive, dive down, go deep in the water. Don't kind of, just stay surface level. Like, you got to dive in.
Yep. And now, man, dude, when is the best time to train? When is the best time to train? I'm sure you see it all the time. You see salespeople, you see maybe even people on your team. I've seen it before. Man, they're training in the middle of the day when they should be making calls, when they should be prospecting. Like, dude, get your training over with, get it done and over with early in the morning, and also do it late at night. For me, when I was making calls over the phone, I'm still listening to like Cardone University. I'm still listening to audiobooks, podcasts while I'm making calls, while I'm prospecting. But sometimes people, they're training and training only in the middle of the day. Like, when is the best time to train? I mean, training is all the time, but the last thing that you want to do is to take off any prospecting time to train.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want to do that in the morning or at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the way I looked at it, so like, as far as new agent training, I'll give you this. Like, if you're an insurance agent and you're not prospecting, you're essentially clocked out. Like, you can't see it, but you're essentially like not punched in. So when you replace your 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever hours you're working, hopefully you're working that much. When you replace it with all these activities, you're essentially, that's not doing income producing hours. So you're essentially not driving income, which, may be a different topic, but that becomes, a major issue. You're essentially not clocked in, not driving revenue. So the last thing you want to do is replace, the middle of the day with training, long lunch, et cetera, et cetera. Kills momentum, kills the week. That'll kill you in sales alone, man. Just not valuing your time and understanding you're at zero every day. You're at zero every day, no matter how good yesterday was, and no matter how bad yesterday was, which again goes back to training mindset. I'm starting at zero every day. Don't care about the results. I'm training myself to take consistent, predictable action.
Yep. 100%. Dude, I'm such a big investor, big believer in like conferences, events, boot camps, masterminds. You know, why dude, I see it all the time. Like, so many people they're just, man, I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to pay for the flight, pay for the hotel. Like, dude, get in rooms where that power collects. Get in rooms where you can gain more information, where you can make connections and learn from other people that are doing it at a higher level, at a bigger level, right? And like, it stems back to that like belief lid, right? Because we have a certain belief lid, and if we don't get around other people that are believing and achieving at a higher level, then it's not going to open up our belief lid, and we're going to be stuck at a certain level of achievement. And that stems back to knowledge and training as well. So really, like, getting out there, getting to events, boot camps, masterminds, like 10X Growth Conference, right? Maybe, Medicare Con with Justin Brock, going to these different events, going to these different masterminds or boot camps, man, it's so worth the investment. Even if I've already been there, like, dude, I'm going to go again. Because here's the thing, and this even stems back to like reading a book for a second time, a third time, maybe even the 10th time or the 15th time. Like, I've read through all of GC's books like 20 plus times, 25 plus times. People are like, man, why are you reading that book so many times? Hey, because I want to know this knowledge. I want to know this data. And this stems to like, hey, when you read something or view something in a new unit of time, you're always going to pick out something new from it, and you can implement that in your life, and it's going to be a complete different effect on your life, because you're in a different position in your life. You have a different mindset in your life. You have a different viewpoint. You're going through different things. So when you're learning something again and you're reading something over again, you're going to pull something away from it, and it's going to help with whatever's going on in your life.
Mhm.
It's crazy. It's like sometimes you open up a book and you read something, you're like, damn, like this is exactly what I'm going through. This is exactly what I needed. Right. So it's like, man, just how often do you read a book? Like, man, I'm going to read it 5+ times. I want to know the data. I want to know the information. I'm sure you're the same way as well. But like, I'm going to read the book so many times that like I can actually apply the information, because information is one thing. Having the information is one thing, but actually applying the information, applying the data, and executing on it is a whole other thing. We know, I know so many people who, man, they're just learnaholics. Like they're just learning. They're learning every single day, every single hour of each day. But are they actually applying it? Are they actually executing on it? What do you think's better? Let me ask you this. Just came to the top of my head. What do you think is better? To know all this information and data but not execute on it, or to know smaller amounts of data and information but to actually execute on it?
That's what everyone lacks, brother, the execution.
Yep.
That's what everyone lacks. That's why a lot of people aren't where they want to be in their life. They don't execute. Everyone, and everyone knows what to do. But, so to answer that question, I'll go on to another point. I mean, what you're talking about here is great. And this is really all going back to self-development. And, I would implore you, if you're a new agent and you have to think, Ryan, a lot of these people are, they're in somewhere in Washington, somewhere in Chicago, somewhere in Indiana, somewhere in Ohio. You're somewhere in an environment where you've been your whole life. So by spending this money, you're going to get in the game, meet individuals who are better than you. They're better than you, or at least further along. I would say further along than you, where they operate different. Their business already doing $100,000 a month. So now, you're leaving that environment. This is part of your training. Leaving that environment, you're seeing people really doing this. Your belief level is raised again. So when you're making 10 grand a month in your hometown, no longer think that's a substantial income, because you just met Joe who makes $50,000 a month. Because there's always levels, and I would say that goes part of your training. That I would add is meeting people, spending that money, and really expanding that mindset, because a lot of people, the only reason we spend $1,000 because you don't think you're worth it, and you should never diminish yourself to just money, digits, make fake. So if we know how to create value every day, in a business to drive revenue, we'd never be concerned about that. And it's just about taking those next steps. Like this, your journey, my journey has all just been like continuous training and learning, right? I mean, that's all it is. And do we know objections? And just to kind of tie it in, do we know objections? Yes, we do. Can we handle a sales call? Absolutely. Can we communicate? 1,000,000%. But it's really that self-development, that big thing, because that's what's going to take you far in any career or journey is, what your belief level, how sold you are on yourself, your product, understanding what it's going to really take, how much action you're going to need to plug into something to make it even go, to make it even start moving, let alone be massively successful. So, I mean, just hopefully, for everyone watching, this is a different spin on, what training really is. And it really is self-development. I guess that's where I'm just kind of going with it. Training is actually really self-development before anything, because at the end of the day, you're just going out there dealing with people. You're just dealing with people every day.
Yep. And the last thing that you want to do when you're training or when you're diving into training, in my belief, is like the last thing you want to do is just to focus on this motivational stuff. There's all that motivational stuff that hypes you up, makes you feel good, makes you feel great. Like, yeah, you need some of that. However, you also need like the in-depth sales training, the in-depth self-development, personal development training as well. That's going to change your attitude. It's going to change your viewpoint. It's going to change your mindset. It's going to change your belief lid and your belief level. And also it's going to help you become a better communicator, like you said, right? Communication, understanding the mind of the buyer, how to handle objections, reactionary defense responses, like all this stuff is so necessary. So it's like the steps that you want to take if you're brand new to any sales career, sales job. It's like First is the self-development, like we've been talking about, the personal development, self-development, attitude, mindset, viewpoint, belief. Then the second step, second step for me would be a mix between product and general sales training. So like a little bit of both there. So man, it's such a topic that people don't want to talk about because man, so like I said earlier, so many people get to a point where they're making income and they're like, oh, I don't need to train anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right. I'm good. I don't need to spend money on this event. I've been to events like that before. Yeah.
I felt like that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's to say, you know, we're all learned, but yeah, you know, I've said those things before. Yeah. I already read that book.
Yep. Man, what are some books that you would recommend? We'll end it off here. We'll keep this tight, short. What are some books that you would recommend to the listeners here?
Sure. So book recommendations are definitely the next question I would ask is definitely like, what are you trying to accomplish? Because some books are more applicable than others. Mm-hmm. But as far as like a book that I went back to that I'm on chapter 15, 16, Burn the House Down, is the 10X rule. That's applicable if you're a business owner or sales, like wherever you're at, it makes sense if you're starting in sales or if you're starting a business. It's extremely applicable. It's a book that I'm going back to. And then beyond that, it's going to depend where you're at. But I went back and so the 10X rule and then your next 5 moves, Pat David. But I mean, you know, some of that, it really depends where you're at. But for me at this moment in time, definitely the 10X rule, it's a must read. And it's one of those simple reads, but then you go back to it and you're like, dude, this is crazy. You know, this is crazy. And it just validates, like, cause I'm around, you know, a lot of people every day, as are you. And it validates, you know, the action that we take every day, and it'll validate you. You need stuff that validates you and validates your beliefs, and that book will do it wherever you're at.
Yep.
That's my book.
You know, something's funny. I just thought about this is that some people, they shy away from training. They shy away from audios, podcasts. They shy away from going to events because sometimes the information and data that these other people are sharing, it hits them too hard and it's too much of the truth and they can't confront it. Some people can't confront things, right? And it's a huge indicator of how far you're going to be able to go in life. If you can't confront things head on, like sometimes, you know, I'm listening to maybe like like some people that are just so like just dry and blunt, like Bradley, Grant Cardone. Some people don't like Bradley, Grant Cardone because they're just so dry and so like just straight up, just real people. And sometimes like the truth hurts. Sometimes the people can't handle the truth. I was that same way, you know, back when I was in high school. I can't handle the truth. And that's sometimes like information and data sometimes hits you hard, but that's the information and data that you need to be picking up and learning from. Like when it's real data, it's raw data, right? So for me, yeah, personally, like, dude, 10X rule for sure. Sell or be sold. Gosh, my goodness. And like I've read these books, as I said earlier, 20 plus times. You know, If You're Not First, You're Last. Be Obsessed or Be Average. Like that's one of those books that hits home. Like be obsessed or be average. Like people, you know, like normal everyday people, like they see be obsessed or be average, they're gonna be like, what the hell is this? This guy's sitting on a plane. He's sitting on a jet. Like, dude, this guy's braggadocious. He's arrogant. All he cares about is money. Like, no, but this is the stuff you need to read. You need to read stuff that's really going to confront areas of your life that you're not confronting it. Some shit that's going to be like, wow, like, dude, I need to confront this. I need to handle this. I needed to hear that, right? So, and that's what I strive to bring other people as well. Right now, for me personally, I'm in a building mode right now, as I've been this past year and a half, 2 years. But this year, my target is a book a week, and I'm reading like specifically like people books and like scaling books. So I've got Teamwork by Natalie Dawson, fantastic book. Blue Ocean Strategy, amazing book. Talent War, that's a great book. Traction, very good book. Traction, I was actually recommended it by my accountant last year. Never read it yet, so I'm going to be reading that. Super solid book from what I've heard from other people as well. But those are some of the books I'm reading every single. So I'm going to read the same books every single month this entire year. Like I want to go deep on specific books and specific people. I don't want to go too wide, right? And it was just diving into what I was speaking about earlier. Like so many people they just go too wide. They're learning from 50 different people. They're learning from 10, 15 different people.
Dude,
like just go deep.
That's what's if you go back to you or I, like I haven't read a million different books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a lot of books that I have read, but it goes back to how many times like you reread them. And that just goes back to what you said earlier. You know, it says a lot because I think a lot of people, you know, read like 1,000 books and then, you know, it's just the execution factor. I wanted to add a book. So before your first 5 moves, Pat David has a book, and I follow Pat a lot because he's, you know, was in our industry, scaled a company, sold it, really successful. So I'm obviously gonna try to emulate and take some of the stuff he does. He has a book before your first 5 moves. This is a new training things for new agents. So I'd read Doing the Impossible. It really helps you get back to the basics of, you know, choosing the people you're around, the mindset, and, you know, kind of digging into, you know, some self-discovery and what you want to accomplish in life. It's called Doing the Impossible. I think if you're a new agent, I think that's like a really good, because you're not necessarily scaling a team. You know, you gave some books, but, you know, maybe you're not jumping into scaling a team. I think that's a really good book that will set you in motion and help you, you know, rebuild a foundation that is correlates to sales very well, correlates right to business.
Yep.
So that's just
beyond positive thinking as well.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, anything you're doing to get a unique mindset or perspective is going to give you an edge. Everyone else is thinking like everyone else. So if you can do like a little something different, you're going to win in a big way. You know,
that's right. All right. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in every single Monday at 12 Eastern Standard Time. Me and my guy Alec Aponte coming to you live. We'll see you guys next week at 12. Hope everyone got some value out of this. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you guys.